Hey there, everybody. Autism Fitness founder, leading the movement for movement, Eric Chesson here. There's a dog in the office. And if you are ready to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro, there is a link in the description below. You can learn more. You can register right now. And for 2023, exciting announcement, returning to the live in-person practical, select dates and locations throughout the world. And of course, you can still do your practical virtually from anywhere you are, anywhere in the world. Head over to autismfitness.com to learn more and to register now and secure your spot, whether you want to take your live, hands-on, brains-on, feet-on training via the sanctity of your own home, classroom, school, or gym, or you want to meet me in person, again, on one of those select dates and locations. So today, we're going to be talking about throws and when throws make sense, when throws may be something that we want to hold off on. So in our autism fitness approach to training, we have our three areas of physical performance. So we have our three phases. We have our warm-up, we have our power, and we have our strength. And in that power section, the goal for power, the reason, the purpose for these exercises is to create the training effect of being able to produce force. And where does this show up in daily living? We're talking about opening doors or pulling a door open or being able to push something up onto a cabinet. That's a short burst of power. Now, for many athletes with autism or other neurodevelopmental issues going on, then we sometimes see that a power exercise may not necessarily make sense for them just yet. And that depends on their ability to react. And it also depends on their ability to produce that force and whether they have the underlying strength and stability, because those are going to be the foundations of movement, whether they have the underlying strength and stability to support that power-based movement. That, and this is for another video entirely, but that's the reason that why we don't include jumping in 99.99% of our programs. But we do include medicine ball throws because medicine ball throws have the unique property of being both a productive force and a reactive exercise as well. So the athlete has to react by catching the ball, by timing. So you have a lot of hand-eye coordinating going on there, and some physical abilities and some cognitive abilities that certainly can generalize to other areas of daily life. So I'm going to show two athletes that I coach and describe when it might make sense and when it might make less sense to include those power-based activities, particularly medicine ball throws, in those programs. So we have to look at what the exercise is actually doing for that athlete right now. Is it actually producing a training effect? Again, the training effect is what we're after. The training effect is the physiological benefit of that particular exercise. So as we go to the shared screen, so we have one athlete here. We're working on a push throw. And part one, what's good is he's standing and attending, but we're seeing some stereotypy. Now, this is less so behavioral and more so neurological. So there's a long latency here between throws. So the question is whether or not this is a viable exercise for this particular athlete right now. So you also see that we have a very short length between us. So there's a shortened distance between myself as the coach and then the athlete here. You can also notice that latency here between throws is really long. So we're talking about anywhere 4, 5, maybe even 6 seconds. If we count here, 5, 4, 3, got 3 there. And what we really want out of this exercise is a faster, a very well-paced back and forth. So throw and then wait and catch, throw and wait and catch. We want that to happen quicker. So here we're seeing a longer latency, and in between some throws, it's a little bit better, but we have to ask ourselves, is there a training effect actually occurring from this exercise? Now, if we look at it from the way that we assess things in the PAC profile, physical, adaptive, and cognitive. Physically, is the exercise here having a training effect for the athlete? At this time, not so much, although it might be something, and this is where your level 1 certification kicks in. Is it something that we want to stay with for a few weeks right now to coach and improve, or is it something we're going to hold off on? From an adaptive or motivational or engaged perspective, is the athlete engaged enough to perform the exercise to the level at which it will be effective? Right now, not so much. That could definitely change in the future. And from a cognitive perspective, does the athlete understand the expectation for this exercise? He understands the push throw. However, it's difficult to discern whether or not he understands that quick back and forth. And oftentimes it's difficult to pick out exactly if this is physical, adaptive, or cognitive, or a combination of all three. Now, I'm going to show you the next athlete that I have here, in which case we have an overhead throw, which is one of our 3 medicine ball throws that we use in our programming. And you can see with this athlete, with the overhead throw, this is really what we're looking for. So catch, overhead throw, producing force. And with this athlete, we're also seeing a little bit of physical stereotypy, but it's not impeding right now on his ability to perform the overhead throw. All right, so on task, and now there's a push throw, so we want to reset and get him to do that overhead throw again. So here, a little model prompt, and now he's getting that ball. So right now he's back on target with that overhead throw. So for this particular athlete, the overhead throw is a great option for producing power. And now we're on to that push throw. So you can see how the push throw works with different athletes, or works for different athletes. In this particular athlete's case, he's able to produce that push throw, catch, and throw it back. So this is the pace that we want. So the question that we have to ask ourselves as coaches and programmers is, does this exercise make sense for the athlete right now? And of course, in autism fitness programming, we have our go-to exercises, those that are going to have the greatest benefit for our athletes, and those that are going to produce a training effect that will generalize to activities of daily living. Particularly when we look at the power exercises, we have to be very careful in whether or not we're going to utilize one of these, because the push throw, as viable and beneficial an exercise as it is, sometimes we want to hold off on that with a particular athlete, or we just want to do one introductory set with it. So I have a number of athletes in my one-to-one program who we start out with that push throw just to get the athlete engaged and moving a little bit, but then we move on to other exercises, because right now that's not going to be the main focus of our program. It's not going to produce that training effect. So to recap, the purpose of the power exercises is force production, being able to react as well, and create faster movement patterns. Again, when we're talking about activities of daily living or how this generalizes, think about any fast pushing movement that we have to do, or fast pulling movement that we have to do. We have to be able to stabilize and then move a little bit quicker. It is always, always, always going to be the case that we need underlying or foundational strength and stability for the power-based exercises, which is why we focus on those the most in our programming. And we have to make sure that the athlete is ready for this exercise at the level at which we're going to teach it. Otherwise, we're going to see compensatory movement. So that has been a brief tutorial on the viability, the usefulness of medicine ball throws for our athletes with autism and other neurodiversities. And in group settings as well, this works great if you have 2 athletes who are very similar with their PAC profiles. So same level of physical ability, same level of motivation and engagement, and they understand the exercise in as much as how to do it, then you can start putting those athletes together. So great for small groups and classes as well, if those things all line up. Eric Chesson, leading the movement for movement, founder of Autism Fitness here. If you are ready to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro, again, Now in 2023, both virtual and in-person options for the level 1 practical. Your coursework still stays the same, where as soon as you register, you get immediate access to your course. So you have the concepts, the practices, the exercises, and everything else in between to make your fitness and adapted PE programs the best they can absolutely be. Thanks for watching.